Good morning, dear students. How are you all? Hope you all are doing great and utilizing your time for studies while being safe at home. So, welcome to class 9 chemistry class, and today we are starting with our second chapter of chemistry, that is matter around us pure? In this chapter, we are going to do the following topics. There will be an introduction first of all, then mixture and its types, solution and its properties, concentration of a solution, suspension and its properties, colloidal solution and its properties, separation of the components of mixtures, various mixtures we'll be talking about and their separating techniques, and later half of the chapter will be consisting of classification of matter. So let's start with the introduction part. First of all, we'll be talking about matter that we have already done in your chapter 1. Anything which is having mass and volume is considered to be as matter. Matter can be divided into two categories, children. Number 1, pure substance, and number 2, mixtures. What are pure substances? It consists of a single type of particles which are same in their chemical nature. For example, here try to understand this term which is also in the title of the chapter. Is matter around us pure? Pure here means any substance, any chemical substance which is made up of same kind of particles. We call it as a pure substance. For example, if we talk about salt here, you take a pinch of salt, a spoonful of salt, and try to see the particles by which it is made up of. It is made up of only and only salt particles, nothing else. So it is called as a pure substance. Number 2, we have mixtures. Mixtures consist of two or more than two particles, two kind of particles rather. Here you can take an example of a mixture. Let's say you have sand and sugar mixed with each other. If you see the composition, if you see the constituent, this mixture is going to be made up of sand particles and sugar particles. So this is how we say this is not a pure substance. This is an impure substance, or in other words, we may say it's a mixture. Now, what is a mixture? You have understood. What are its types? Mixture, we have understood now, it's not a pure substance. It is made up of two or more than two kind of particles. Mixtures are of two types: homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous mixture. A mixture is said to be homogeneous if the composition of the mixture is same throughout. A mixture is homogeneous. This means the composition is uniform. For example, you have the example of sugar and water. You take a beaker, put water into it, put sugar into it, stir the sugar, sugar will get dissolved, and you are going to have the water with sugar dissolved into it. You can always taste it, it's sweet water, And you can take one beaker full of plain water. If you want to distinguish out of these two just by seeing from outside, you won't be able to tell that which is the sweetened water and which is the plain water, because there are no separate boundaries present in these two beakers of sugar and water. In the sweet water and plain water, definitely it has got nothing in it, so there are no boundaries. So homogeneous mixture is when the components are uniformly mixed and there are no boundaries of separation between them. Now come to heterogeneous mixtures. Children, heterogeneous mixture is a mixture in which the composition is not same throughout. The components are not uniformly mixed and there are visible boundaries of separation between them. For example, water and sand. You take a beaker, put water into it, put a spoonful of sand, stir it. The sand is not going to get dissolved into the water, and after some time, if you will not disturb this system, the sand will settle at the bottom, and there will be two separate boundaries in the beaker you'll be able to see. So such mixtures are called as heterogeneous mixtures. Now we'll be talking about our first kind of a mixture, that is solution, and its properties. Children, please see here, solution's another name is true solution also. And this is an example of a homogeneous mixture. Means what? The composition of this kind of a mixture is same throughout. For example, lemonade, soda water, etc. You might be making lemonade at home in your kitchens. What you do? You take a glass, put water into it, maybe ice cubes also, a pinch of salt, sugar, and lime juice. Everything gets mixed up after stirring, and you get a homogeneous mixture. So such is an example of a true solution. Now here, very two important points to be understood. Solution has two components. One is solvent and another is solute. What is solvent, children? The component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it is called as solvent. Let's say we have just, we can take one example here. Take a glass full of water and put sugar into it. So sugar gets dissolved. In this case, in this example, water is going to be the solvent, and the another component, that is sugar, that gets mixed up into it is considered to be as solute. In other words, we may also understand solvent is that component of a solution which is always present in a larger amount, and solute is always the component of the solution which is present in smaller amount. It's very clear from the example here. Water we have taken a full glass, and sugar we have just put a spoonful of it, or maybe 2 spoons. It's in the smaller amount. That is where sugar will be considered as solute and water will be considered as solvent. Now we'll be talking about properties of this solution, means true solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. Composition remains same throughout. The particles of a solution are smaller than 1 nanometer in diameter. 1 nanometer means 10 raised to the power minus 9, which is very, very, very small. You cannot see the particles of the solute, that is, or the particles of solution by your naked eyes, not even by the simple microscope. They do not scatter a beam of light passing through them. And this effect is called as Tyndall effect, which is not visible in a solution. What is this now? Try to understand, children. The particles I've just told you of the solution are very small. You won't be able to see them even with the microscope. So when suppose any light is falling on them, a beam of light, they are so small that they will not be scattering the light falling on them. So this effect is called as Tyndall effect, which is scattering of light by the particles of the solution. So here it is not taking place. So we say Tyndall effect is missing here in the case of true solution. The next property we say that if we want to separate the solute particles from the solvent from a solution, we won't be able to do with the help of a process of filtration. Very simple. You have water, sugar dissolved into it. Try to separate the sugar particles from the water by the process of filtration. It's not possible to separate sugar from the water. So this is how the property says. And the last property says the solution is stable. Why is it so? Try to understand. This is something very important. Suppose you have this water in which the sugar is dissolved. have this solution, and you are not disturbing the solution, let's say for 10 minutes, maybe for 20, or maybe for 24 hours even, it will remain as such. The sugar particles are not going to get settled at the bottom once they are dissolved in the water and you get a homogeneous solution. So this is how we say it is stable in nature. Let's talk about a very important term of a solution, which is known as concentration of a solution. First of all, we'll be talking about two types of solutions here to understand this term. What is saturated solution? When no more amount of solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called a saturated solution. For example, try to understand. You take, let's say, half glass of water and put a spoonful of sugar into it. Stir it, it gets dissolved. Then you take another spoonful of sugar, put it again, stir, it gets dissolved. Third spoon, fourth spoon, fifth spoon, and so on. And the condition will come when you will put more sugar and it won't be getting dissolved in the water at that time, at that temperature. So it becomes now our saturated solution. Unsaturated solution, opposite to it, when more amount of solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called a saturated solution. Solubility, the amount of solute present in the saturated solution at the given temperature is called its solubility. Now children, here we'll be talking about how the concentration of a solution can be found out, and this we can do with the help of two formulae. Very simple. You just have to take the amount of solute upon amount of solvent, or amount of solute upon amount of solution. This means what? If we are given in the calculation part or in the numerical part the mass of a solute, then it will be in grams. You'll be taking the first formula, in which you will write mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. Of course, we are doing the multiplication by 100 here to get the percentage concentration of a solution. And similarly, if the values are given in the form of this volume, you say milliliters and liters, then the formula remains the same, but instead of having the mass, you'll be having volume. And of course, multiplication by 100 will give rise to the percentage concentration of a solution. So that's all about the topics to be covered today. Thank you for your attention, children. I hope you have understood it very nicely. No problem. If you have any doubts, I'll be posting one link with this, another link, to make you understand if you miss out something or if you want to have another explanation. Then there will be a link posted along with this. And today you are not supposed to do any question answers, nothing. Simply whatever is taught, please go through that and try to understand. We'll be dealing with suspension onwards tomorrow. Thank you. All the best.